welcome back to Tactics Talk with Guido. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Got some more replay analysis here for you for Nonplus. He's in his KV2. These will all be KV2 replays. He sent me about 6 or 7 of these a few days ago, and I did one of my analysis for him. Sent me back a note and said, hey, thanks, it's already helping out a little bit. I said, that's great, I'll take a look at the rest. I might write down some notes. I'll just send them back to you via email, and if I see anything interesting, I'll make a video. And as I went through them, I realized, you know what, there's actually a lot of interesting stuff in these. So what we're going to do is go through each one of these, but we won't do the whole video. We'll just hit the highlights. So off we go with Nonplus in his KV2, Tier 6 Russian heavy tank. He's got the derp gun on it. Very fun tank to play. And you can see him on this one. He's on steeps, and he's headed over to the east side. All right, Nonplus, so positioning is important in this game. Yep, there you go. Get your turret turned towards the threat. Now, Nonplus is running without 6th Sense right now, so he can bet he was probably spotted by that Type 62. When you don't have 6th Sense, you've got to assume you're spotted when you see something like that. You can also use these spotting rings, and he was inside of it, plus he's a scout. So Nonplus stops, takes a shot, and he's going to cross this open area, and he takes a hit from a 30-45M. Now that should have been pretty predictable there, Nonplus. And what I will say about stopping and trying to shoot at that scout is don't. Take a snap with the KV2, because what you're trying to do is position to a forward position where you can get that big gun into the game a little bit closer. You have to have a really good reason to stop when you're going to your position in this game, and that wasn't really a very good, compelling reason. And you had to know you were spotted, and then you take a hit. So you've already traded 179 hit points for essentially nothing. It was going to be a low percentage shot to begin with, so just snap it off on the way by and keep on trucking. Hopefully you get down there. Now you may have still taken the hit from the 30-45, but hopefully it would have been a more fleeting shot and he wouldn't have had it as aimed. Maybe he misses. And we're going to push up here then to start fighting. Now you don't get a lot of really good help with your allies here. You got a Thunderbolt way in the back, the Sturv's hanging out, KV-85, and the scout initially is in front, which is nice, but there are some TDs back here that you're going to have trouble seeing. Be very careful about sitting out that long. Now you're really exposed just to get a shot on that KV-2. I probably would have shot it where it was earlier and then backed up. That ends up going into the dirt. So you're definitely spotted. The KV-85 walks out, and what you'll notice is he was killed by an AT-7. So you know right now that there's at least one TD back there, and there turns out to be quite a few more. Now, this is the big piece here at this point in the battle. I wasn't too unhappy with your positioning. I probably would have gone over to the west side with this tank on this map, but it can be good in a support function over here if you've got guys ahead of you. Well, they've all run back behind you to include the scout, and there's a pretty good stack of enemies there to include some decently heavy hitting and accurate TDs. So here we are with all your buddies behind you and you kind of out in the front. And I'll ask you at this point then, you know, what was your plan? Are you going to just die in place, try to hit a couple as they come at you? There's the KV-2 poking out, so let's get him. One good technique on a guy that has 0 left to right or right to left motion is to auto-aim them in that situation so that you've got them dead center of mass and take that shot. And now we're going to back up. Coming back in here to reload. And this is going to happen for a little while, so we will move on to the next video. What I'll say to you right here after those 2 minor things as far as getting into position and a couple things about aiming is once your buddies started getting behind you, I'd have skedaddled. Probably just turn around and get back up on top right there and let them hang out down below. And then when the enemy comes around this corner, you can start blapping them, going hold down right up here. Would have been your best bet. You're going to end up fighting, making something of a fighting retreat back around to this corner, but then you have no options to get away because you can't possibly get up the hill in time before they kill you. You end up with a little bit of damage right there, but it was time to get out of dodge based on what you were seeing. Let's move on to the next one. For this one, we are on Airfield, and you can see that Nonplus driving his KV-2 has gone up to the north side here, and we're headed into the heavy brawling area. So I think that's the right idea for the KV-2, is to get over there where you can take shots and then protect yourself behind those rocks. That's the macro positioning idea. There are also the micro positioning ideas, which we'll get to in a moment. But you also just saw a guy, that leopard was sitting out there. He's behind that rock, and you're going to stop kind of out in no man's land and take that shot. And I would tell you once again, you were headed to the fight right there in front of you. That guy has disappeared. Again, just take the snap on the way and get into the fight. You've got to get your gun into the fight. And that'll be another kind of theme for you getting into these things. You're heading in the right direction, but getting your gun in the fight has been a bit of a trick. And that is something that new players struggle with quite a bit. So as far as the micro positioning part goes, you are coming up here onto this hill, and this is where you need to be. You've got guys trying to poke around the corner, and you're thinking, man, I'm just going to go directly up and over this thing and get some shots. Well, here's the problem. That spot right there has got you spotted, and the depression on the KV-2 is not very good. You're going to have to expose yourself greatly to get up and over to take this shot. So had you come over here on this side right here, protected yourself from being spotted potentially, and then get in echelon with the the T-29 right here, then you wouldn't have had this happen right here, where you have to come all the way up. This guy sees you. Oh boy, blocked by your own team. He gets away. You're sitting out in the open, waiting for a shot. Oh, geez, got him, but I eat another shot. And now we're backing up, and at this point, I'm just going to speed this up because the ridiculousness of Artie is shown as the bishop just absolutely pummels you. Now just blind shooting. Probably hit you directly, so figured no kidding you were still there. Hit you again. And now you're down to 30 hit points. Getting trashed by Artie. You've done 225. And this game is pretty much over for you at this point. So the micro positioning is important. You went to the right flank, you went to the right place, but if you'd have come up the right side of the ramp, knowing that those guys were there waiting to look at anyone who wanted to come up over this, the depression on the KV-2 is okay, but it's not near enough to fight on the left side of that ramp. Once you got an echelon with the rest of your fatties, you would have had a chance to pop out, blap them, move back, and reload. Even potentially get away from the bishop if you could get up against the side of the rock, so they're kind of like where that 3001D is. So that's what I had for you on the Airfield one. Let's move on to the next. All right, here we are on Overlord, and we have spawned in the north and currently are heading over to the east side of the map, which I thought was a good idea because the KV-2 can do some pretty good work over on this corner over here. You can protect yourself, getting up against this ridge, pop around, take any derps on guys trying to push in, and support any of your mediums and things that are there. They'll be mixing it up. You come around, blap things, and off you go. The other possibility is getting up on this ridge carefully, potentially, and hitting other light tanks. But that's not exactly what ends up happening here because you seem non-committal. At first I was thinking, great, he's headed over there, and now I will see him shift back over here. Now the problem with this area down here, where the heavies like to go brawl, is it is swept by fire from TDs from both sides, although your team doesn't seem to have many TDs sitting up there. And you can get spotted by lights that are going to surf that hill right there like you just did. Again, no sixth sense, so you have to assume that you are spotted. You're also dealing with 2 artillery, so you've got to be careful with that. So that was a good decision to come down here and protect yourself a little bit, at least from being spotted or potentially artillery. And I was kind of curious what you were going to actually do here. So I thought, well, maybe he's going to go over with the T-29. I hope not, because TDs just tear people up, and you're going to decide to kind of go up this road right here. Looking at guys. And we're heading over to a very steep part of the map. And then I thought, well, maybe he's going down there. No, nope, changed his mind. And that is 1.5 minutes, and you haven't fired yet. Moving up here. Got a T-29 and a KV-3 below you, so they probably got that lane taken care of. Those guys are all behind the ground right there. There goes a Crusader down. T-67 died, so good start for your team. And you're just backing down the hill, and I'm not really sure what your intention is. Looks like you maybe thought you would go with those heavies, but nope. We're going to go back up top. And I think what you understand what I'm getting at right here is the fact that it's very non-committal and unsure what to do. Now there are some guys trolling around up here. There's the T-29. There might be a couple others. Got a guy in the ramp behind you. There goes an ELC. He's probably seen you. Holy cow, there goes an IS. Alright, so we spent a lot of time futzing around here, and we've spent a lot of that time on this very steep part of this hill. So you're just not going to be able to get your gun on anything. If you were over here on the flatter part, when those guys cruised across, you may have actually had a shot. So there was nothing wrong with coming up here and just peeking up and seeing if anybody's hanging out over here. Because they'll have guys over on this backside sometimes, or maybe just poking up and over. And oh, by the way, there's the T-29 right there. So we're going to come up, we see him, and we're like, alright, we're getting a shot on him. We just sell out, right? I must have this shot. I must have this shot. End up missing. And you have traded 281 for nothing. So as soon as I saw that T-29 hold down, and I knew that my KV-2 was going to have to sell out to get that shot, I'd have just backed off and attempted to make him miss. Now you've got the IS on the flat part, so why not come left over to this flat and see if you can't blap him in the turret right there. Your turret's okay. The mantlet's pretty strong. It is a big target. But now we're just kind of hanging out on the back. Not really committing, not having a really good idea of what to do. And you'll see that this is just basically not doing anything, right? You're just hanging out on the back. Once again, another opportunity. Had you been on this flat, you'd have caught that IS coming out and blapped him right there. And we're just hanging out on the back of a cliffside. And I think you get the picture here. This is just essentially doing nothing for the team. You're literally climbing up walls that you can't climb up, and there's no way on earth you're going to have any kind of depression to get anybody. We're going to come up, see what we can do. Now what's interesting about replays like this is sometimes you can see just how excruciating it is. You're just, holy cow, what on earth? It's taking forever to get these shots. I'm surprised the T-29 didn't shoot at you. There he goes. And now we're going to come up, take a shot on him, and we finally get a shot in there. That works out okay. Keep on backing down. There you go. And there's an IS behind you. So the IS is shifted. He's continued to go around to this corner here. T-29's pushing you. Misses, thankfully. And you're going to get one shot on him. And pretty much get killed by the T-29. So just a long time spent trying to get your gun in position. Just put yourself in a really kind of strange spot that was not able to react to what the enemy was doing, not able to get your gun online to get anything. So try to look for places, the micro positioning places where you can actually use your tank. I'll give you a couple examples there. Move on to the next. All right, for this next one, we're on Sacred Valley, and you do a nice job here, Nonplus, as far as going up to the position where you should be. And you're going to sit back on this back corner, and they're actually going to be pushing around the corner, so you will have an opportunity to shoot at them. So that's not a problem. But the issue that you're going to have right here is exposing yourself. You're out here in the open just really waiting here for the zoom in. And you've come around the corner quite a bit, a lot more than you really need to. Fortunately, they were paying attention to your buddies, and this is okay, especially if they're around the corner and they haven't come around. So if they're not pointing at you or already around the corner, then sitting there and zooming in is a good idea. So now we're reloading. But what's going to happen here is you're going to come out a little too soon a couple times here and make what is essentially going to be bad trades. Look how long it's taken you to reload or to load in and take your shot right there. So the point there is that you were out way too soon. You should have been hanging back until only about a second, maybe two at the most, till your reload. Not coming out and sitting there while they come around the corner and point at you. Like I said, though, if they're around their corner and not poking out, then fine, get out there and zoom in. But once they poke out and you're not reloaded, you're just asking them to take a shot. So you've traded some hit points you didn't need to trade right there. This will be, I believe, another good example. And it takes a long time for this thing to reload. So don't get too antsy. Just kind of look at your reload there and wait till it's only a few ticks away. You're going to come out a bit early once again. Waiting, 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 waiting. And you see how that happened right there? now you've just taken another shot from the super that you didn't need to take in there because you sat there for too long trying to reload. We'll get another reload here. I think you take another one as another example of it. And it looks like maybe you're sort of learning the lesson there because you didn't come out till later this time. So that's a good deal. There we go. So much better. Nice job there. So you see that one actually worked out as it should have. Maybe slightly early on that one, but not as gross as the others. Now they may still snap you when you come around, but the trick though, the point of it is to minimize exposure. That's why you see the really good players popping out and taking snaps and accepting not being exactly all the way aimed in. They just deal with it. You know what, if I miss, that's fine, but I also did not take return fire and take a hit. And because of the way accuracy works in this game, it hits more often than it misses. So we're waiting. Unfortunately, you take down your buddy, and we're going to come out here. Yep, you're waiting this time, so that's good. Nicely done. Oh, and another example of you just waited a little too long for it to zoom. And one of the tricks there is when you come around a corner and you see some barrels pointing at you, just fire it and get back. Just fire it and get back. Try to minimize your exposure. So you took several hits you didn't need to take. You should still be in the game if you'd have been snapping it out. Would you have done less damage to them? Maybe. Possibly, but you would have still had some hit points to keep on fighting at this point. All right, let's move on to the next one. For the next one, we're on Proc with Nonplus and his KV2 Tier 6 Russian Heavy. You can see that he's headed over to the east side. He's got up onto the tracks on his positioning, and he's got a Leopard out there that he's going to take a shot on. The last video we talked about waiting a little too long to zoom. I'd have fired about right there, probably slightly before you did. They end up killing him. That was a decent reason to stop. You were probably unlikely to be spotted right there, so not a big deal. And it looks like now he's going to head up to the hill. So let's go chipmunk speed. We will head up to the hill with Nonplus, taking a look at everything as they go. He looks at this guy in the middle a little bit. The KV1S dies, and now we're headed up to the top. So now we get up to the top, and we're talking about positioning a lot with Nonplus. And this is not a bad decision. I like the east side. It's okay for the KV2. This map is not KV2 friendly, especially if there's 3 artillery like there are against him. This spot is okay on the 5-6 line, but it's difficult to use, and sniping with a KV2 on these guys on the hill is not that easy either. You could go sit on the 1-2 line, and again, sniping with the derp. A lot of light-skinned kind of TD stuff, so that might be fun, but you'd have to have enough guys and scouts to know what they're doing. So all else being equal, this is probably about the best spot that you can pick. But the micro positioning within the position matters as well. So Nonplus is actually going to come up here, looking at these guys. He actually hits the Type 64, and that was okay, good deal. And that's exactly how I would have done that, take that snapshot, but then I would have continued to push into the bushes forward and left of you. Problem with this spot right here, and you got the LAFH on you now, is that you really don't have the gun depression to do this, and you're probably going to be outspotted by some of the better spotting mediums that are going to be in front of you. So I'd have pushed straight forward and into the bushes about where the IKV is, and looks like the LEF is still trying to get you. So we're going to be scared of him and move back. And like I said, about where the IKV is where I would position myself, so that I have a bunch of bushes. I can shoot down onto the cap. I can be hidden if they're popping up and over in the bushes right there. And I might even be able to support this IKV who's going to go up here. So let's go chipmunk speed again, because we're going to sit here for a while. And we'll see that numerous of our buddies have moved forward. The IKV, the KV1, they got those guys pushed back. There's a target Stug back there, and we're still kind of hanging out, sitting back here on the back edge. So this is the time to move forward and grab that bush up there. There goes the IKV. Now this map, just really quickly, it does require some symbiotic relationships. This middle spot here should cover the hill. The hill should be lighting these guys so the middle spot can shoot. But of course you've got a Hellcat way back here, got a scout all the way in the back, a KV1, so things are not really looking great for your team right here. You need to be in this bush right here for the moment. chipmunk speed. So we go to the bush, I thought, and then we back up. Back up again. We're just sort of sitting here and take some shots. That's good. We got the Stug down. KB1 is still there. We got a scout that is still sitting back, not doing his job. And now we go forward. And it's at this point then that you're going to sell out. Alright, this position can be used to light the guys down below. This bush right here is the best bush to do it from. This T-21 is the one that should be doing it. Come up here just in this bush, just high enough that he can light these guys and let artillery work on them. You need to whittle these dudes down a bit before you do what you're about to do. Selling out can be important, but there needs to be good reasons for doing it. So you should be able to one-shot one of these guys, which you really can't. The other thing is, it would be ideal that there's not so many artillery left, because there's still 3 on the enemy team. In addition to that, there's all kinds of TDs unspotted, and they're wrecking you now as well. So there's a shot into there, bam, bam. Trying to live, oh no, there's another hit. And we're going to end up dying here momentarily. Ouch, there's the artillery again. And we're done. So, selling out at the wrong time seems pretty self-evident at the time. So I would ask you exactly what was your plan there. If one of these guys had been a one-shot, you might have been able to come down there and take them out and justify what you're doing. But that was selling out for no real good reason. It was time to sort of turtle up back in this bush, let these guys continue to spot and whittle these dudes down. You're just not that good of a spotter. You're not that maneuverable. Nice big target. Your turret's really tall, so even if you try to drop down into this little dip right here, sometimes part of that big tank's turret is still poking out. And, of course, there's the 3 artillery. All right, let's move on to the next one. For the last one on Arctic region, when I saw the load-in screen on this one, I thought to myself, man, I'd have loved to have been in this battle. No artillery. I'm on the east side. I can get down to the low end of the southern battle down there and just go ham with this derp gun, getting in close to my work, being able to go hold down. I thought that was initially what you're doing, but you go right past it. So right off the bat, positioning-wise, I think you're on the right flank for this, the correct flank for this. But I'd have gone down this hill with this Hellcat and this M4 and worked over any of their tanks that tried to come down low, with the idea of pushing up to this ramp right here and then coming on the side of any of their tanks stacked up here, and you've got a bunch of guys that are going to keep them busy. What you end up doing, though, is you come down here with a KV-2 on what is kind of a channelized, relatively medium to long distance fight. And you're going to have a hard time poking out here, getting shots off, and not taking shots back. It's a better idea because there's no arty, but it's not the best idea. And had you been right down there, had you gone right down with the Hellcat and the M4, you would be starting to approach where the M4 is. And you can see that he's actually on that ramp. So he is now coming up on the side of all their tanks stacked up here. You'd have probably been about where the Hellcat was had you kept going. And man, you'd have come up that ramp and just started hitting dudes in the side with that 152, and that would have been spectacular. Looks like you thought about it and then changed your mind, and now we're going to come out and we're sideways to the threat, and we just wait way too long to zoom in, which is going to cause us to get hit. And we splash the guy for 37. Sorry, not splash, but hit for 373. And now we have changed our mind. So making a trade you didn't make, kind of out of position even though you're on the correct flank. So that's the importance of the micro positioning within the positioning plan that you make. You can actually go to the correct flank and pick the wrong spot to be, and that makes it incorrect. So now we're going to come down around the corner, and I said, okay, good, this might work out. Looks like your heavies are up there making it happen. For the moment, you need to get up there with the Hellcat and start popping these guys in the side. Now you'll see the T-43 is doing kind of a maneuver denial idea right there. He's attempting to get into there right where he is there and stop people from coming around the corner, or at least being able to take shots right there. And I would have moved forward immediately. Just he's given you that opportunity, but turns out it was okay because there is a Tiger 2 who wants to come down low, and you make him pay. That's good. Now you're backing up. Don't back up that far. There's no need to. You're going to reload about in time before that Tiger can get to you, even if he fixes his tracks. And while the enemy is moving, his dispersion is worse. So you want to actually catch him while he's attempting to push forward right there. And the further you back up, the harder it's going to be for you to get in there on that guy. It looks like that's your idea, but you just didn't need to be that far back. You can see that he's moving now. You're sitting there. Now you're reloaded. And you could have started moving earlier, and the reload would have happened as you came around the corner. So there he is. That's fantastic. Take him down. Now just press forward, press forward, press forward, press forward. You back up. That's pretty typical of new players. They shoot and they back up. Look at what you got going back up here. You got a T-29 doing okay. You got a near-dead Tiger P, a near-dead 150 up there. So they're getting pressed pretty hard with these guys. You got a T-43 there, a couple tanks, T-29 and his buddies right there. What you need to do is push in and relieve some pressure off of your heavies that are getting pushed and backed up. But this is a very passive kind of stance right here. The T-43, where he is, he can't really do anything to you if you get up to the ramp. He's going to peek around this corner and he'll have shots on you when you're in this area, but once you get up on the ramp, he can't come around. And oh, by the way, I don't think you can actually drive around that without drowning, so he'd have to come up and over the top. What you need to do is take pressure off your heavies, which you just lost one. Once they kill your heavies up there, there goes another one. Now there's 3 of them, so neither one of you really has enough oomph to stop the others, to stop those 3 from pushing you. So they can either push the T-29 and kill him, or push you and kill him. But you spent so long trying to get down there and help him. Help your buds. Now they know you're there. So you got one that's got the 107 on it, and the other one's got the 152. Come up here, look for a shot. Nice job, you put that on him, but now we're on a reload. And this one says, thank you very much. You're on a reload. Now you see that T-43, you cannot back up. You're in a pickle. You've got to kind of stay right there. The problem is you back up going, oh my gosh, I need to back up, I need to back up. What you're actually doing is giving 2 different guys a better shot. So if you tuck up under there, that forces this other one to potentially not have the depression and maybe have to come forward a little more to get a shot. But it certainly doesn't back up into this T-43 and give him a shot on you for the kill as he's coming in. So again, micro positioning within your actual positioning choices. So I hope these things help, man. Let me know how it goes for everybody else. I do appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you.